You're listening to KSCO, serving Watsonville, Greenfield, and Hernandez.
Opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of KSCO staff, management, or advertisers. If something is said with which you disagree, please let us know by writing to us at comments@ksco.com.
Four 479-1080. You are listening to The Mineral Way. 831 is the area code. 479-1080 every Monday at 5. Pharmacist Ben Fuchs are live answering your questions, text messages, and emails. 479-1080, 831-218-5726, kseodave@gmail.com, or you can go and post your questions at The Mineral Way. Guess what, Ben?
What's up, Dave?
I found a copy. I found the last copy of that stupid clock.
Okay, great. I was going to ask you, do we have to pay attention to that thing? Yes, we should. If we're ever going to be
No.
No?
Not this week, Ben. I just ripped it up, dude.
What?
You should have talked with me about that off the air, but now I just ripped it off.
How are we going to get big and famous?
Oh, I don't know, Ben. Maybe, helping more people, and then the word spreads, and that's how we do it, Ben.
All right.
It's
I
word
thought
of
we had
mouth.
to be all radio-y.
Well, maybe, but word of mouth. Don't underestimate word of mouth, Ben. People have built, in longevity especially, the word of mouth has been just a fantastic way to spread the word.
Absolutely true. Absolutely the case. And, it's funny because network marketing gets a little bad rap, and a lot of network marketing companies go out of business, and they don't last a long time. Longevity's been around for pushing 30 years now. This is, I think, it's 29th year. Mm-hmm. This is the 29th year. And what does that tell you? This stuff works.
Yeah, totally.
And while, we talk about the business a lot, and the business is important, and people can make some significant money. There are people making literally tens of thousands of dollars a month. I know somebody making $80,000 a month at Longevity. And not everybody's going to make that much for sure, but it's possible. But really, at the end of the day, it's the people we're helping. It's the difference we're making, not just in products, but in information as well. And that's why we do this show, and that's why Longevity does all the Facebook talks that they do and phone calls that they do, and I do Zoom calls every week. And we were going to do Zoom calls, I think, you and I. Just for everybody to know, I do a Zoom call every Friday at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and I do one on Monday evenings. In fact, I'll do one right after the show. I do a call at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and then also, hopefully, anyway, you and I will be doing a Zoom calls. Because a big part of this program, a big part of the longevity program is information.
Yeah.
And once people are informed, then they're going to use products, and then they're going to be, like you say, then the word of mouth is going to spread, sharing of information from person to person. That's really the best way to move product. It's not the advertising, and it's not the celebrities, and it's not the influencers. It's human being, real human, genuine, peer-to-peer communication, not controlled influencers or advertising, but really just recommendations from friends and family. Nothing beats WOM marketing, as it's called, word of mouth marketing.
Oh, WOM, as I like to call it, WOM.
WOM marketing, very
Yes,
good. WOM marketing, yes, that's true. And you know what? That's one of the reasons why I love social media so much. Is it really does, although there is a lot of scammery for sure on social media, it kind of lends itself to the little guy being able to spread information. Before social media, before the internet, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, you had to be a big company to really get information out there. And you never knew if the information was right. You never knew if the information was just marketing garbage, marketing drivel. But with the internet, with the ability of people like myself and people like you to get the word out, WOM, word of marketing, can really be leveraged.
831-479-1080, 218-5726, kseodave@gmail.com. Ben, I don't know if you've ever heard of Ponce de Leon.
Oh, yeah. Fountain of Youth.
Yeah, Fountain of Youth guy. Yeah. He never found it, Ben, not that I know of.
He should have signed up for Longevity.
That's what I'm thinking, Ben. He should have signed up for Longevity. Now, how do people address premature aging, Ben, or even appropriate aging? How do you slow it down?
Energy. That's really what it's all about. That's what aging gracefully is about. That's the difference between young and old, and that's the difference between healthy and diseased. Energy. And that's what nutrition does. Nutrition provides the cell. It's always about the cell, even though we don't focus on the cell, understandably, because we can't really see the cell. We can see the parts of the body that look like they're broken, the connective tissue or the skeletal system, or even if you can't see a system like the heart or the intestine or the spleen, you can kind of perceive it. But it's really about the cell. There's really no intestinal disease. There's no spleen disease. There's no lung disease. There's no heart disease. There's heart cell disease. There's lung cell disease. There's spleen cell disease, etc. It's all about the cell at the end of the day. And a cell is only going to be as functional as it is energized. Do you know there's actually mechanisms inside a cell that will shut down the production of proteins and enzymes and turn off secretions when energy's low?
I believe it.
There's fail-safe mechanisms inside the cell that will actually turn down the dial when energy is low. So putting energy into the cell is the key to everything. You can't put energy directly into the cell, but you can provide the raw materials and the resources for the cell to make its own energy. And you know what the most easy, the molecules that release energy the easiest into the cell are the minerals. And that's why the minerals, among other reasons, but that's one of the reasons why the minerals are so darn important. They carry energy loosely, and that energy is loose enough that it can be released into the parts of the cell that need it. And that's what makes the minerals, which are really not minerals, they're elements, the most fundamental of all the nutrients. And of course, that's what Dr. Wallach and that's what longevity is all about. That's what Dr. Wallach noticed as a young, as the story goes, as a youngster on a farm. He noticed that it was the minerals from the soil, he called them minerals, but they're really the elements in the soil that accounted for the health of the animals. And as the story goes, Doc Wallach started using them himself and cured himself of his Tourette syndrome. And as they say, the rest is history. He went off to school and became a vet, and first became a vet, then a naturopath, and he started talking about minerals. But it's really, that's what makes the minerals so important. Energy is released from the minerals in a much easier fashion than they are from other molecules.
All right, Ben. So now I know it's minerals that could be the key to aging more gracefully, or maybe even slowing it down. What minerals should I take, Ben? What can I?
And don't call them minerals, first of all.
Okay.
Have I talked to you about? I know I talk about it to a lot of other folks. I'm not sure if I mentioned on this program why the word mineral is very confusing and accounts for a lot of misunderstandings.
No, tell me about it, Ben.
Have we talked about?
No,
There's no minerals in the body. How do you like that? There's no minerals in the human body, except, I should say that. The only minerals in the human body are in the teeth and in the bones. But other than that, there's really no minerals in the body.
Okay.
Minerals are atoms that have been squished together. Like if you if you dig a hole, the hard stuff that's in the soil, that's a mineral. You're not going to get any nutritional value out of that. In order for something to be energized, from a chemistry perspective, it has to be able to interact with water. That's one of the reasons why they dehydrate food. When you dehydrate food, it lasts a long time. If you take an apple, it's going to eventually, and within a matter of days or weeks, it's going to start to oxidize, and eventually it's not even going to be edible, right? But if you dehydrate that apple, it'll last for a very long time. What's the difference? Why does an apple or a banana or pepper or any kind of vegetable, or meat, for that matter, meat, or any kind of foods that has at one time been alive, what's the difference between that and a dehydrated food?
That's a great question, Ben.
Right? What does dehydrating do? Dehydrating removes the water. Removes the water.
All right.
When you remove the water from a food, it lasts forever, or at least it lasts a very long time. That's why these these survivalist commercials that you hear about sometimes on Alex Jones and other radio stations, they sell you these foods that are supposed to last for through the nuclear winter or whatever. They last for a long time.
Right.
What's the secret? They dehydrate and they remove the water. Water activates chemistry. By pulling water out, you have basically no chemistry. In order for chemistry to occur in the body, water has to be able to interact with molecules. There has to be some kind of interaction with water. So one of the things that minerals do is when they're in the ground and they're all squished together, all the atoms are squished together, they don't interact with anything. There's no activity. But if you can figure out a way to take that mineral, which is hard, minerals are hard, right? Right? Say right.
Yes. Yeah,
That's
right.
If you had a way to take that mineral and put it in water so that the components of that mineral, i.e. the atoms of the mineral, could interact with water, now you have something that's electrically active. In fact, the word that we use to describe atoms in water is called electrolyte. Right? You've heard the term electrolyte.
Yes.
Electrolyte is an atom that is in water, dissolves in water, and can conduct electrical energy. That's what electrolytes are. So if you could get a mineral to have all its atoms separate out so that they can kind of have room to interact with water, now that mineral will become electrically active and nutritionally valuable. The mineral itself is not nutritionally valuable, but when it gets broken up into its components and it dissolves in water, now it becomes nutritionally valuable. So what is it, do you suppose, that has the ability to take that mineral and separate out all of its little components so that each of those components can interact with water to make that mineral nutritionally active?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. If I tell you, you'll know. Plants.
Oh, yeah, plants.
That's what plants do. Plants have an ability to take those minerals and kind of separate out the atoms. And it's not just plants. Also, there's little bacteria, not bacteria, but microbes, little tiny living creatures, some of them are bacteria, that can actually eat those rocks and separate out the components, the atoms, that make up that mineral so that the atoms can now interact with water. This is what plant-derived minerals are all about.
That's amazing, Ben.
Isn't it amazing?
Wow.
They call, by the way, the name for these little creatures that live on top of the earth that eat the minerals, which don't do anything, are called lithotropes. Have you ever heard that term? Lithotropes.
No.
Litho means stone. Trope means eater. Stone eaters. These lithotropes that live on the surface of the earth actually will eat the minerals. You know, the earth is basically minerals. Underneath the soil is minerals. And so the earth will, the lithotropes will eat these earth minerals and secrete out these little components which can interact with water. And as these little components accumulate on the top of the earth, we call that soil. That's what soil is. Soil, or largely. Soil's got a few other things in it too, but largely soil is the chewed up or eaten, if you will, minerals that have now been broken up into its little components so now they can interact with water. And in fact, in biology, there is something called the clay hypothesis of evolution. And what the clay hypothesis of evolution says, that these clay, they're clays, these clays and these soils that have been derived from the lithotropes, which ate the rock, are actually where life began. Why? Well, it turns out that when these lithotropes eat the earthen material, the mineral, and secrete out these atoms that can now interact with water, the interaction between the water and the atoms which have been derived from the lithotropes. Are you with me so far? I know it's a little bit confusing.
Yes.
Okay. So the interaction between the water, or the reaction between the interaction of water and the minerals, forms clays, and these clays are electrically active. The combination of the water and the atoms creates these electrically active clays. And wherever you have electricity, you have magnetism. That's called electromagnetism. And this magnetic property pulls in amino acids and fatty acids and other nutrients to form these complexes. And evolutionary biologists, at least some of them, believe that this is how life began, in the clays. And in fact, in the Bible, that's what it tells us. Life began, they didn't call it the clay, they called it the dirt. But really, it was the clays. And these clays are incredibly nutritionally valuable. Why? Because number one, they have this electrical energy and magnetic energy. And number two, the electrical energy, the magnetic energy pulls in the vitamins and the minerals and the amino acids and the phytonutrients and the fatty acids. And so these clays are packed nutritional complexes. And eating the clays can be very, very beneficial. In fact, you may have heard of people eating bentonite clay. You can get bentonite clay in the health food store. Have you heard this?
Yeah, I have. I always
Eating
get you all plugged
clays,
up.
it's nutritionally valuable. And not only that, but because of the electromagnetic properties, eating clays can be very detoxifying. And one of the things, by the way, that eating clays can be detoxifying for are elements in the blood. and in the digestive system. So clays, which are derived from the combination of these atoms that were made up, that were secreted out by the lithotrophs from the minerals in combination with water, are incredibly nutritionally valuable. And in fact, if you take some of these clays and you put them in water and stir them up, you can get a very valuable nutritional drink. And that, with a little bit of tweaking, is what our plant-derived mineral products are from longevity.
I like it, Ben.
It's these soils that have these clays that were in the dirt, what we call dirt, that dissolve in water, that now have packed the water with the vitamins, the minerals, the aminos, the fatty acids, and all the phytonutrients. And this is really important because while we talk about plant-derived minerals, it's really important to recognize that plant-derived minerals don't exist by themselves. They exist with vitamins and phytonutrients and amino acids and fatty acids. They're entire nutritional complexes. And that's what makes our Beyond Tangy Tangerine so effective, our Mineral Toddy so effective, pretty much all the so-called plant-derived mineral products which have all these other ingredients associated with them.
All right, Ben, I got a whole bunch of questions and things here. We got to get to these, Ben. We have to get to them. So the first one is somebody following up about hair loss and biotin. They want to know how much biotin should they take.
Can I say bullshit on the radio?
You just did. I'd rather you not, though.
Okay, I won't say it then. I get so mad when I hear that thing about biotin. I want to choke somebody.
All right.
Yes, biotin's important. But they make it sound like you take biotin, your hair grows back and your nails grow back and you get nice strong nails. That is such BS. That is such a lie. Anybody who says that should be ashamed of themselves, or at least they don't know what the heck they're talking about. Yes, biotin's important, but it's not going to change your hair or nails. Don't buy into that. And that's one of the reasons why I feel like what we're doing here, Dave, is so darn important. There's so much BS out there. Biotin plays a role in some of the biochemistry that's involved with skin, hair, and nails. But skin, hair, and nails, those three, they kind of go together, while we consider them to be really important, obviously you want to have your hair, you want to have beautiful skin and nice strong nails, to the body, that's the last thing the body cares about. The body cares about the heart way more than it cares about the skin, hair, and nails. The body cares more about the liver and the spleen and the intestine and all the viscera, the internal organs, more than it does the skin, hair, and nails, which means under conditions of stress, and I'm not just talking about your credit card bills, I'm talking about stress, physiologic stress, as well as psychological stress, and nutritional deficiencies, and toxicity, your body is going to reroute all of its precious resources to the viscera and away from the skin, hair, and nails. It has bigger fish to fry than giving you beautiful hair. So under conditions of bodily duress and nutritional deficiencies, skin, hair, and nails are going to suffer. And you can't take a frickin' pill in a body that is duressed and expect to make a change. That's so mean for anybody to say that to somebody. It's just not right. You have to take care of the system. And this is such an important point when it comes to health. We want to focus on the organs and the parts of the body that we see. But the body is a system. Everything is connected to everything else. So you have to work on the system. And that's why nutrition is so superior to drugs. Because when you take all your nutrients, not biotin for your hair, but you take all the mighty 90 essential nutrients, the body will route those essential nutrients to the parts of the system that need them. To target the skin, hair, and nails with biotin is silly for an end user to think that, but it's even worse for somebody to tell somebody that, who supposedly knows what they're talking about. No, biotin is not going to change your skin, hair, and nails, period. However, if you get the mighty 90 essential nutrients, number one, and you work on the hormone system, because the hormones are the mediators, the nutrition is the raw material, but the actual mediators of cell chemistry, ultimately of health, are the hormones, particularly thyroid hormone. And by the way, every single year, in the top 3 or 4 medications sold is thyroid medicine, because almost everybody has thyroid problems. The reason we have thyroid problems is because of downstream issues like digestive health and blood sugar health. And that, at the end of the day, and this we'll talk about here in a second, those are the two main systems in the body that you want to focus on. It's impossible to focus on every single part of the body, but you can focus on the digestive system and the blood sugar system very easily. I was just reading, by the way, do you know 70% of Americans are considered to be obese?
Whoa.
Not overweight, but obese. That's just as an aside. Of course, that's driven by blood sugar. So digestion and blood sugar are your main control points for the thyroid, or really more specifically, what I call the adrenal thyroid complex. The adrenal glands give you regular energy. I'm sorry, I apologize. The thyroid gives you regular energy, and the adrenal glands give you emergency energy. When your body is running on emergency energy, the thyroid will slow down to compensate. It's kind of like if you drink a lot of coffee, you probably experience this. You drink a lot of Red Bull or coffee or whatever, you're very caffeinated. You get that kind of jittery feeling. It's not like clean energy. It's energy. Yeah, you can't sleep, but it's not a comfortable energy.
Mm-hmm.
When we're subject to that, when the body's subject to that kind of energy, over the course of time, eventually the thyroid will slow down. And once the thyroid slows down, everything slows down. Hypothyroidism is called the hidden illness because once we become hypothyroid, the heart doesn't function as effectively, the brain doesn't function as effectively, the immune system doesn't function as effectively, the skin starts to look lousy, you get cracks in your fingernails, your hair starts to fall out, and even worst of all, the digestive system doesn't function appropriately, and that leads to more problems. So the key to everything is energy, and the key to energy is nutrition and reducing the burden of duress on the body, psychological and physiologic duress. The two main sources of physiologic duress, there's a lot of sources of psychological duress, and I can't help with that, but there's only two main sources of physiologic duress in the body, and that's the digestive system and the blood sugar system. Toxicity also plays a role, as does low oxygen, but the two main sources are going to be the digestive system and the blood sugar system. And that's why I say those are the 2 points to focus on. If you want to simplify health, and it's always a good idea to simplify things, focus on digestive health and what they call metabolic health, which is really the health of the blood sugar system. Okay. And you've heard of something called metabolic syndrome, I'm sure. Right. These days everybody's heard of metabolic syndrome. It used to be called Syndrome X. I did a talk for Longevity back in 2002 where I talked about Syndrome X. And now they call it metabolic syndrome. And I love the name metabolic syndrome because everything is metabolism, so they might as well call it everything syndrome.
You might as well. Ben, we got a bunch of questions, dude. We got to get through these questions.
Are you saying phone calls or
well, questions and phone calls, yes.
Let's get the phone. Let's talk to the real people.
Okay, well, let's answer this email.
Okay.
Will you please ask Pharmacist Ben his recommendations for improving chronic eye bags? Okay. I've noticed them get smaller by getting enough sleep and abstaining from sugar, gluten, and salty foods. They never really fully go away. Question.
So what are eye bags? Let me ask you. I don't think you probably won't know, but what do you think eye bags are?
They're bags under your eyes, Ben.
Very good, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah.
But there's no bags. They're not shopping bags, right?
It's drooping skin.
Yes, it's drooping skin. An eye bag is a sign that the blood is not circulating effectively, and it's starting to pool out underneath the eyes. This is a sign of poor circulation. It can involve the kidneys and it can involve the liver. And it can involve what I like to call dirty blood. And you'll notice, a lot of people, when you wake up in the morning, you have eye bags, and then over the course of the morning and the day, the eye bags go away, or at least they become less prominent. Why is that? Because you're moving. Your blood's circulating. When you're lying down in bed, your blood is not circulating as effectively for 6 or 8 hours. You get up in the morning, and the blood has kind of pooled out underneath the eyes. Now, there's also some other issues that are involved with eye bags, but the most important thing to regard, and this is also purpling under the eyes, coloring under the eyes. The most important thing to consider is poor circulation secondary to or following liver problems, kidney problems, and what I call dirty blood. Of course, blood becomes dirty from sugar and from the digestive system. So what do you do for eye bags? A couple of things. First of all, you improve circulation. You can improve blood circulation through a whole bunch of mechanisms. Number one, if you have a leaky gut, you got to work on digestive health, reducing, like this gentleman said, reducing the sugar intake. I think, did he say something about gluten? Did I hear him say?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. He's answering the question. Gluten represents a source of toxicity in the blood. That's dirty blood. Sugar represents a source of glycation. You can think of it like like toxicity. It's not really toxicity, but you can think of it like a blood reaction. That again causes problems with the dirty blood. When you reduce the entrance of gluten and other toxins through a leaky gut, and you lower your sugar, the blood moves around more effectively. So while eye bags are unpleasant to look at and they're cosmetically unappealing, the fact that they're an indicator that your blood's not circulating correctly is kind of a red flag. It's a sign that you may end up with further problems down the road because the blood delivers oxygen and nutrition and detoxifies the entire body. So if it's not circulating correctly, and at least not circulating effectively enough it's not circulating to the point where you have eye bags, it's also going to be depriving your organs of oxygen and nutrition and detoxification. And oh, by the way, little kids will sometimes get not necessarily eye bags, but puffiness under the eyes and coloring under the eyes when they have dairy allergies. Again, the same kind of issue. It's dirty blood. It's blood that's not circulating as effectively. So the way you deal with eye bags is you improve blood circulation. There are things you could do topically to improve blood circulation, like locally to the skin. Like you can do massage under the eyes, or you can hang upside down on a rebounder. On an inversion device. You can jump up and down on a rebounder. These are all ways to improve circulation. Also, for most people, they'll notice when they get up in the morning that the eye bags are worse first thing, and then they improve over the course of the morning as the blood circulation improves.
All right, Ben, we got to hold it right there, Ben. When we get back, we'll get to the phone calls. We got phone calls lined up. 831-479-1080 is the phone number. We will be back in 2 minutes. Hello, everybody. This is Dave Michaels, co-host of The Mineral Way with pharmacist Ben Fuchs. Now, I could go on and on about what's inside Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0, but let's be honest, there are a million products out there with buzzwords like beetroot, CoQ10, B vitamins. You've heard it all before. But what really matters is how it makes you feel. And with Tangy Tangerine, you're going to feel better right now. You'll have more energy, more focus, and a sense that your body is finally getting what it needs. Stick with it for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You'll notice the difference. Your body begins to rebuild itself. You look better. You feel better. Life just works better. And that's what makes Tangy Tangerine unlike anything else that you've ever tried. So don't just take my word for it. Try it today and feel the difference for yourself. Here's how to get your Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Log on to themineralway.com or davemichaels.com. That's themineralway.com or davemichaels.com. And start feeling better today.
Tired of supplements that don't seem to do anything? Meet Beyond Tangy Tangerine, BTT, the one that actually delivers. Each scoop gives you 87 of the 90 essential nutrients your body needs. You'll feel it almost right away. That vitamin B kick boosts your energy and your mood. Now here's what makes it different. BTT is built on plant-derived colloidal minerals. Most products stop at vitamins. BTT focuses on minerals your body can actually absorb. You'll feel it inside and out. Each canister is a full month's supply. Just mix it with water or in your smoothie. It tastes great and blends easy. Choose the original, the 2.0, or the new 2.5 tropical fruit. Extra vitamin B, extra punch, and that clean, tangy flavor you'll look forward to. Start feeling like $1,000,000 with Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Go to themineralway.com to order. That's themineralway.com. Safe, easy, and legit. Don't go anywhere else. Themineralway.com.
831-479-1080, 831-218-5726, kscodave@gmail.com. Any of those ways will work to get your questions in. We're hanging out with pharmacist Ben Fuchs, and we're going to get right to the phone lines. Ben, are you ready?
I am ready. I love talking to our Santa Cruz fans.
All right, let's see who is up first. I think her name is, well, let's go with Emma. Emma is calling from Carmel Valley. You're in the air. Emma.
What's up, Emma?
I'm addicted to your program.
Oh, I love that.
Thank
you. Thank you.
And I have never been able to get in touch by phone or call over there. I listened last week to what is his name? Not Ben. The other guy, Dave.
Dave.
Dave was explaining the different products that you have. And it was so wonderful that I want to just order all of them. However, I just want to clarify something with you. I have developed osteoporosis, and I was walking 4 miles a day. I'm not very healthy either.
Okay.
And I just was dumbfounded. I couldn't believe that I have osteoporosis with it. And then they find out that I have hyperactive parathyroid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they said there is no tumor or anything, no surgery, but they put me on Fosamax.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. So you have a hyperparathyroid. You're dealing with they actually diagnosed you with hyperparathyroidism?
Yes. I did things, and we did the blood work before and after, and they have diagnosed me with hyperparathyroidism.
Okay. Did they say it was secondary, or did they say anything like that, what it was due to, or they just said it was hyperparathyroidism?
They just said you have a hyperparathyroidism.
Okay, gotcha. So it wasn't due to there was no like growths or anything that were causing it. They just said it was
okay, gotcha.
No,
they said it's not a growth.
Okay, so do you know what the parathyroid, which is right next to the thyroid, so they call it the parathyroid, which means next to, plays a major role in calcium absorption. So when you're you probably know this, but just for the listeners, when calcium levels are low, this is under ordinary circumstances, when calcium levels are low, the parathyroid will release chemicals, parathyroid hormone they call it, which tells the bones to release calcium. Right? And then you'll have right, and that's what, and obviously when the parathyroid is releasing parathyroid hormone, and the bones are then releasing calcium, your bones are going to get weaker, and that's where hyperparathyroidism will cause osteoporosis. It's leading to the bones releasing their calcium. So the question is, why is your parathyroid thinking that the bones need to release calcium? And the main reason for that is, or one of the main reasons for that, is when the blood becomes acidic. When the blood, there could be some other reasons, but the first thing to think about is when the blood becomes acidic. Now, let me ask you a couple questions here. Are you noticing any issues like fatigue, or do you have a history of kidney stones, or are you going to the bathroom a lot? Anything like that?
Yeah, I go because I'm 87 years old.
Oh my goodness! Oh, you didn't tell me that. You're 87?
No, I'm sorry, 78.
Okay, 78.
No, 77.
Oh, he's 77. Are you sure here, Emma? No.
Yes.
I'm kidding.
I'm 100.
But, okay, you're almost 100. No, I'm just teasing. So you're 77. It goes by fast. So you're 77. Yeah. So this is somewhat normal that your body would be a little bit acidic. Now, it could also be that you're not absorbing calcium if you have an intestinal issue. And if you're not absorbing calcium, again, the parathyroid is going to say, hey, the calcium levels are low. Let's get some more calcium. So I can't tell you exactly what's causing the parathyroid, the elevated parathyroid hormone, but that is something that you want to work on. The first thing I would do is look for what we call in the business comorbidities, other things that are going on. Now, you said you're walking a lot, you said you feel good, but there's got to be some other, you're 77, so there's got to be some other things that are going on. This can tell us whether A, your blood is acidic, or B, you're not absorbing calcium. Now, if you're not absorbing calcium, it could be a lot of reasons for that. It could be an intestinal issue, in which case you're going to want to work on intestinal health. It could be a vitamin deficiency, like a vitamin D deficiency, in which case you're going to want to get
my vitamin D levels are normal.
They're normal.
Yeah.
Okay, so
then
it could be an intestinal issue, or it could be for some reason your blood is toxic. There's some kind of blood toxicity that's going on. I can't tell you the answer to that. But if you can put together a few symptoms, not just the parathyroid. The parathyroid is not doing anything wrong. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Okay? The question is why is the parathyroid think it needs to be secreting hormone? That's the question. Your parathyroid is not wrong. It, for some reason, sees that you need more calcium. Now, it doesn't mean you're not intaking it. It could be absorption. And that's what I would be suspecting, or some acidic blood. So the first thing I would do is I backtrack to intestinal health, because that's where calcium is absorbed. That would be the first thing I would think of. Now, the Fosamax is a horrible, horrible, horrible drug. One of the most, and not only is it a horrible drug, it's a sign of medical laziness. And unfortunately, our doctors, they don't, sometimes, not all of them, but sometimes they don't have time to actually question you, ask you about your digestion, ask you about your blood sugar, ask you about fatigue, or ask you about your spasms or cramps or other things. They don't have time. They just say,
I don't have any of those. I'm very healthy.
well, you got to have something, because there's no.
Take it back.
Say again?
I take it back. I take it back.
Speak loud. Can you speak a little bit louder? I'm having a hard time hearing you. Emma?
I said, yes.
Yes. Go ahead.
I said, I have been very healthy because I was in sports all my life and all this stuff. The only thing is, after menopause, I became very constipated. So I'm taking off.
Okay, that tells me so much. That tells me so much. I'm not going to pick on you. I'm going to say something, but I don't want. You sound like a very nice lady, and you've been very nice to us. I'm not picking on you, but I want to tell you something, and I want everybody to hear this. When we hear the question, "What else is going on?" sometimes we don't think of things right away. So we say, "Oh, no, I'm fine. I'm perfectly healthy," and then later we say, "Oh yeah, I remember. Now I'm constipated." It's not because you forgot. It's not because you're dumb. It's because just we don't notice things. They kind of go underneath the radar when they happen all the time. That's why it's so important to really focus on other things that are going on. So constipation in your case tells me there's some intestinal issues. Intestinal issues tell me that it's possible you're not absorbing calcium. Do you understand what I'm saying here? The lack of absorption of calcium is triggering the parathyroid to say, hey, we need more calcium. Let's leach it out of the bones, which in turn causes the osteoporosis. Make sense?
Yes.
You can
so
see.
I start with the.
You can see. Let me just say one thing real quick, and you tell your doctor this. I wish I could talk to your doctor. You can see the silliness of giving you a so-called bisphosphonate, which is, by the way those work is they keep your bones from being broken down. Under ordinary circumstances, your bones turn over. Bone cells turn over. That is, they get eaten up and they get replaced, and eaten up and replaced. There are cells that will actually break down bone, and there are cells that will actually build bone tissue. And it's this turnover that accounts for fresh new bone all the time. And you want fresh bone. However, when you take the Fosamax or Boniva or these other kinds of drugs, that stops the turnover. That keeps the bones, but it's weak. And that's why people on these kinds of drugs tend to have more fractures. They may have less breakdown, but they have old bone. And that's the problem with these drugs, which your doctor should have done.
What do I start with?
You got to work on your intestinal health. Absolutely.
Okay, what is it called? So I can ask Dave to.
What I would do is I would go to Critical Health News and get the free food diary. And I'm not supposed to say that probably. Dave, we should get a food diary for the Mineral Way.
Okay.
And then do a food diary and see your problem foods. Constipation means your intestine is freezing up a little bit. There's something you're eating that's causing the intestine to freeze up. It could also have to do with what they call the microbiome, the bacteria. But you want to focus on the intestine. I don't know if you heard me say this earlier, Emma, but if you want to do two things, or you want to limit the amount of things that you have to focus on for good health, it's digestive health and blood sugar health. Okay?
So I will take those two from Dave. I can order those two from Dave, right? For glucose and digestive.
Yeah, well, I can help you out with that. I can definitely help you out with that. Thank you for the call.
I call you where?
Call me tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the call, Emma. 831-479-1080, 218-5726. Is it Annie? I don't know what her name is.
Was that explanation too convoluted?
No, it's great. It was perfect, Ben. Is it Annie?
Yes.
You're in the air.
Hi, Annie.
Hi there. You're both great guys, but Ben, you're the best, okay? Because you know why? You're a doctor that people can talk to.
I appreciate that, but I'm not a doctor.
No,
I don't
whatever.
even play one on TV.
You're a smart man that's sharing. You're sharing your info with people and making people empowered. And that's what's really special.
That is, thank you for saying
yes.
that. That's so important.
Yes.
That's exactly
Well,
what we're doing. Yes.
And I want to get some more tangy tangerine and hand it out to the people downtown, the
Yeah.
people on the street, the unhoused people.
I
Because
love
they're
it.
so stressed out. They're so stressed out.
Yeah.
And they're drinking whatever they're drinking. And they're stressed. Their B vitamins are stressed. I went down there Saturday, and they had bags, garbage bags over themselves so they can keep
Oh, my
dry.
God.
And
my
walking
God.
around, yeah. And then they said, my tent got stolen. And I was handing out stuff from Gray Bears.
You know what,
Anyway,
Annie, I'm going to, if you will give your address, your mailing address to Dave
Okay.
offline,
Okay.
I'm going to send you out some Beyond Tangy Tangerine on me, from me, and I want you to hand it out to the homeless folks, or the unhoused
Yeah,
folks.
we get them a bottle of water and just say, keep putting it in, but don't
Yes.
do it all at once because it's too sweet, like you said. And
Yes.
just keep water. I sent some to my friend in Santa Fe, and I say, just put it in and keep stirring it, like you told, like, shake it up and really do a centrifugal stir on it, like you said last time. Okay. And then,
Well, here's a little tip for folks who don't have any tools to mix the Beyond Tangy Tangerine in. What you do is you take a little bit of Beyond Tangy Tangerine. I like a quarter to half a teaspoonful, whatever it is you like. You put it in your glass, and you put a small amount of water, like maybe a teaspoon of water, to cover up the powder. You don't want to dissolve the powder. You want all the particles to contact water. In pharmacy, this is an old pharmacy trick. We call that wetting. So you want to wet all the particles with water, a small amount of water, and then when you put all the water in, because the particles have already been wetted, they'll go into the solution more easily. So you start off by wetting them with like a very tiny amount of water, just enough to contact all the powder, and then you put your powder in and shake it up, and you'll get better dissolution.
Cool. I'm going to try that. And here's one funny thing. I picked up a cup, and I thought it was tangy tangerine.
Oh, no, that's way TMI.
No, but it didn't taste like tangy tangerine, so I said...
No, no. Dave, what are you going to do with that?
I don't know. Thank you for the call.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for the call, Annie. 831-47. Well, you just never know what's going to happen when you do live radio, Ben. Just don't know. All right, let's head out to Campbell and pick up our good friend Craig. You are in the air, Craig. Thank you for the call.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah, the first caller, Emma. She said she had a constipation.
Yeah.
Ben, you could vouch for me, but crystallized vitamin C will help break it up.
Let me tell you the problem with that, though, is, and yes, you're right, vitamin C, when you're constipated, can cause some bloating and some really uncomfortable bloating and even diarrhea and sometimes explosive diarrhea. Don't mean to be graphic here. So you got to be a little bit careful with vitamin C. But yes, indeed, that will do it. And also magnesium will do it. Of course, fiber will do it. But plain old water sometimes will do it as well. Vitamin C, though, we do use vitamin C in pharmacy a lot for that. But you got to be careful with it.
Yeah, that bad drug she was taking,
Oh,
I bet
my
you
gosh.
that could have been the constipation cause.
It could. That is a
poor
very
lady.
good point. That's one of the things that can happen from that drug. Absolutely. Very good
Yeah,
point.
hey, Ben, I'm going to owe you a breakfast when you
Why
come to
is that?
Santa Cruz, all these questions and call. Both you and Dave, I'll take you both out to breakfast.
right.
But, hey, gosh, I forgot now. What did I call about? Last week, follow-up. So if I go to the drugstore, what should I buy out of all the things? Aspirin or ibuprofen? What is
What are
the
you trying to
difference?
take care? What are you taking care
Well,
of?
I just want to have
Or
them
just
on
in your
hand.
first aid kit kind of thing?
Yeah.
Aspirin.
Like, what is the less? Aspirin is the best?
Aspirin by far.
Safest?
Benadryl. I would have some Benadryl. Benadryl can help knock you out if you get into a really severe I don't want to say severe accident, but you burn yourself or a serious scrape or something like that. If you take Benadryl, it'll help you sleep. And then also aspirin is incredibly anti-inflammatory, not in terms of its potency, but in terms of its effectiveness. It's mildly potent. It's not like a steroid or anything, but it's multifunctional. And so everybody needs to have some aspirin. Everybody needs to have some Benadryl. And then you can't buy this in the drugstore, of course, or over the counter, but I've always said pain pills are very important to keep in your medicine cabinet.
Yeah.
You know what they used to
Also-
use, by the way, in like 100 years ago, 120 years ago? They didn't have they didn't have pain pills, really. You know what they used to use instead of pain pills? And all medicine cabinets
Whiskey.
had this.
Whiskey.
Cannabis.
Cannabis.
Yep, cannabis or hemp, actually. And they all medicine cabinets in the turn of the century until, marijuana got a bad rap there somewhere in the middle of the 20th century. All medicine cabinets would have, like today we have aspirin, they would have cannabis or hemp. It was either hemp or cannabis.
Yeah, by the way, yeah, this cannabis is a whole other big subject. I don't have. I tried a little bit of that.
The stuff they have now.
Product, and I felt weird, like you could be almost getting a stroke. I'm not used to that.
Are you talking about the stuff that you buy in the shops now? Listen, let me tell you something. Some of that stuff is up to 70% THC, especially they call it dab and shatter, those waxy things. Up to 70%. When I was a kid, it was 5%. Now it's 70%, or high. That's the highest, but it could be 50% or 60%. Can you imagine this?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Okay.
Let me tell you something. Being too high is not a very good feeling. If you ever do too much pot or smoke too much or eat too much, it is an awful, awful feeling.
It is. Yeah. By the way, that you talked about dehydrated food. How does that compare nutritionally? You got a slice of apple and a regular apple.
That's a very good point. You will lose some nutrients when you dehydrate, for sure. And obviously, the first thing you'll probably lose are the water-soluble nutrients. But yes, you will lose nutrients when you dehydrate, for sure. Also,
I'm going to have to try some of that clay soup.
Oh, yeah. You know what? It's funny. Go get bentonite clay, and you put a teaspoon or so in a glass of water, and it looks like a mud puddle. But it's so delicious, you aren't going to believe it. It's really, really tasty, but it looks awful. So when you do it, don't be put off by the fact that it looks like a mud puddle, and just do it, and you'll get the benefit of all the minerals. Easy to absorb minerals, plus it's incredibly detoxifying. And if you happen to have diarrhea or loose stools, it'll help tie up the water, and it'll make you more less regular, or it'll improve bowel function, let's say.
Yeah, gonna have to try that. Hey guys, I'll let someone else go on.
Thanks Craig. Good to talk to you.
Thank you for the call, Craig. 831-479. Oh, Craig sent me a jar of organic honey. Said to share with you, but I'm not going to share it with you, Ben.
Is he a beekeeper or an apiary?
I don't know. He gets some really good. Is there any health benefits to honey, Ben?
Oh my God, honey is one of the most amazing substances on the planet.
Really?
Absolutely. Enzymes, B vitamins. It's complete. It's so antiseptic that they found honey in pyramids from 6,000 years ago, or not maybe that long ago, like 4,000 or 3,000 years ago, that was still good.
Nothing
grows in honey. It's great it helps heal burns. It's great for skin. It contains an alpha hydroxy acid called lactic acid. It's moisturizing for the skin, and it tastes great on top of everything else. Got to be a little bit careful with fructose. It's also loaded with B vitamins and also enzymes.
Wow. All right, Ben, I have one more question here. This is from the text line, 831-218-5726. Dave, can you ask pharmacist Ben if there is anything I can do about keloid scarring?
Yeah, keloids are very interesting. You know what a keloid is, Dave?
I do not, Ben.
They're really, really bad. A keloid is a form of collagen that piles up incorrectly. We haven't really talked too much about collagen, but collagen everybody's heard of. But what we don't often talk about, or we don't hear so much about, is the fact that collagen secretion has to happen in a very organized style, a very organized fashion. So if collagen is not secreted correctly, it can clump up, and it can form scar tissue. A keloid is clumped up scar tissue that forms up on the surface of the skin after a wound of some kind. And the most important criteria for determining whether or not something's going to keloid is fat deficiency, particularly in fatty vitamins and essential fatty acids. Now, fatty vitamins and essential fatty acids are absorbed in the intestine, obviously, like everything else, and through the lymph. So if you have a lymphatic problem or you have an intestinal problem, you may not be absorbing those nutrients. And if you're like most people, you may not be even taking enough of those nutrients. So the first thing I would do is start supplementing with your fatty vitamins, particularly vitamin D and your essential fatty acids. The best way to get vitamin D is the sun. So get out in the sun. And then secondly, if you have any intestinal issues, you're going to want to work on those because it's not only what you take, it's what you absorb. And if you're not absorbing things through the intestine or the lymph, no matter how much you take, it's not going to really make a difference. So number one, take the stuff. Number two, work on absorption and metabolism of the fatty vitamins and the essential fatty acids at the level of the lymph and the intestine.
Wow, Ben, boy, we covered a lot of stuff today, Ben.
A lot of stuff.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, so if you guys are interested, I know, we've talked to everybody in Santa Cruz has been listening forever to us probably. So there's no newbies out there, but if you're a newbie out there and you want to learn more about the longevity products or the longevity business, we're all about it and we want to help you.
We would love to help you. Go to themineralway.com or listen up for the following not advertising. It's the following messages, and you can find out more there. Pharmacist Ben Fuchs joins us every Monday, guys, at 5 p.m. Pacific time to answer questions. Pharmacist Ben, let me thank you for joining us this week, and we will see you next.
We'll talk to you next week, and then call me in the middle of the week so we can talk about the other stuff.
Okay, I will. You got it, Ben.
Take care. Bye, Santa Cruz.
That was Pharmacist Ben Fuchs. And again, if you want to join us, you want to join the team, go to themineralway.com. We are looking for new people to join the team here, whether it's as a distributor or as a customer. We would like to help guide you through your purchase or help you start your own home-based business. Now, what does that mean? That means that you get to work from home, obviously, but there are also things that you might not think about so readily. One of those things would be tax deductions. Now, I'm no tax expert, so I'm not going to tell you what that means, but I can tell you that you can legally deduct things that you buy and purchase to start and maintain your own business. And longevity is a great way to start off. Doesn't cost a whole lot of money. How much do you think it would cost to start your own home-based business? Go ahead and think about it. Give you a few more seconds here. How about $30? That's cheap, right? Now, it takes a little bit more. You're going to want to make a purchase so that you can qualify. But basically, it's only going to take about $30 to get your foot in the door and then about $100 a month from there on out. But I'm telling you, if you want to start your own business, tell me a better place, a cheaper place where you can start it than $100 a month. Probably doesn't exist. You've been listening to The Mineral Way. Be sure to check out the archives on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. We're in all those places. Questions, again, can be sent to themineralway.com 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Also, you can send them to the text line, 831-218-5726. But if you want to call in and you want to speak with Pharmacist Ben, then you need to call live Mondays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. For Pharmacist Ben Fuchs and myself, Dave Michaels, I want to thank you for listening to The Mineral Way. And remember, there is a better way, The Mineral Way.
In 1513, explorer Ponce de Leon set out to find the Fountain of Youth. Years of searching, endless travel, and in the end, a complete waste of time. Turns out the Fountain of Youth doesn't exist. But if Ponce de Leon had access to the internet, he might have saved himself a lot of trouble, because he could have gone straight to themineralway.com. While the Fountain of Youth may be a myth, the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack might be the next best thing. It's designed to support bone health, joint comfort, and overall wellness, helping you keep the energy, mobility, and flexibility everyone is searching for. No legends, no wild goose chases, just a smart way to support the body you rely on every day. Navigate to themineralway.com to find what Ponce de Leon never could. That's themineralway.com.
Buster, is that you? You're moving like a pup on espresso. What gives?
Thanks. Just keeping up with my routine, some light jogs, a few unauthorized trash inspections, and started taking Arthrodex.
Arthrodex? Is that one of those new chew toys with Bluetooth?
Nah, it's a supplement from Longevity. It's loaded with vitamins, minerals, amino acids, even stuff to keep my joints moving like they used to.
So, it's like a multivitamin, but it actually tastes good?
Exactly. My coat's shinier, I'm springier than ever, and the stairs don't mock me anymore.
Man, I've been getting winded halfway through Squirrel Patrol.
Tell your human to go to themineralway.com. That's where mine gets it. Easy peasy.
Done. I'm one biscuit away from entering the Zoomy Olympics.
Give your pets the nutritional support they deserve with Arthrodex from Youngevity, because staying active, happy, and healthy never goes out of style. Available now at themineralway.com.